Okay, since I had a little extra time tonight doing some other things, and I got this done. I got the main video done already. That of the 270 versus the 25-06. Two were tied. And it's like, okay, which one am I going to pick? Well, I know one of my followers, he has two 27 caliber rifles. And one's a 270 WSM. And the other is a 270 Weatherby. Talk about a matchup. This one is interesting. So, just as per usual, I do all my parameters all the same. So both of these cartridges are capable of the 65,000 CUP. And since typically most of the information for like the 270 Weatherby mag is based upon like more like a 26-inch barrel, I decided to keep that the same. It's not uncommon to find a 270 WSM with 24 to 26-inch barrels. And to be fair, both really do well in a 26-inch barrel. That's their bread and butter. That's what they do best. Because they have such large powder reservoirs in comparison to like a standard 270, they need extra barrel length to get the good burn. So utilizing the same exact bullet, same powder, same parameters, same zero, all that. So let's get into it. 270 Winchester Short Mag versus the 270 Weatherby Magnum. Who's flatter? So, starting off with the 270 WSM, we get a muzzle velocity with 71.5 grains of N560. You're getting 3407 with a 130 grain trophy bonded bullet. That's insanely fast. 3,400 feet per second with a 130 grain bullet. That is crazy. And the muzzle energy of 3351. So the 270 WSM is pushing energy similar to that of a 7 rem mag with a much lighter bullet because it's just so fast. And the 270 Weatherby is not far behind it either. It's right there. So it took 72.5 grains to hit that maximum pressure, but you're at 3,383 feet per second. So you're literally talking a difference of like 24 feet per second. So they're virtually identical. And same thing in the energies, really close to each other. So instead of 3351, you have 3304. So with a 200 yard zero, I don't do 100 and 200 yards. So here it is at 300 yards. So you're getting a velocity of 2634, energy of 2003, and a 5-inch drop. 400 yards, 2404, and then for feet per second, 1668 for your energy, and a 15-inch drop. 500 yards, you're getting 2186 feet per second and 1379 foot-pounds with a 31-inch drop. Let's see. So 600 yards, 1979 feet per second and 1130 foot-pounds with a 54.4-inch drop. 700 yards, 1,784 feet per second and 919 foot-pounds and 86.7 inches of drop. And at 800 yards, 1,605 feet per second, 744 foot-pounds, and 130.7 inches of drop. Those are the numbers for a 270 WSM with a 130 grain trophy bonded bullet. The BC is not really all that good on that. It's only a 0.379. This is not meant for ultra long range, but if you were to take and put the same exact bullets in these, you're going to find that they're going to be very similar. And so that brings us to the 270 Weatherby mag. So again, within 1 grain of each other of powder, At 300 yards, you have 2,614 feet per second, 1,972 foot-pounds, 5.1 inches of drop. So you're literally talking right there. 400 yards, 2,385 feet per second, and 1,641 foot-pounds, and 15.2 inches of drop. 500 yards, 2,168 feet per second, 1,356 foot-pounds of energy, 31.6 inches of drop. 600 yards, 1,961 feet per second, and 1,110 foot-pounds of energy with a 55-inch drop. 700 yards, 1,768, 900 feet per second, 902 foot-pounds of energy, and 88.2 inches of drop. And finally, 800 yards, 1,590 feet per second, 730 foot-pounds, and 133 inches of drop. So 800 yards, your difference in velocity is literally 15 feet per second. That's it. And your difference of energy is 14 foot-pounds. Again, nothing to really care about. And you're talking about being within 3 inches of each other for your drop. Again, nothing to really worry about. So, as far as performance, these are virtually identical. So when it comes, if you're looking at strictly the table of numbers and what you're trying to pick as far as its performance, then great, you can pick either one of these and you'll be just perfectly fine. They'll do the job and do the job well. The only real difference between these are going to be things like rifle availability, ammunition availability, ammunition selection, rifle selection, and your overall cost. As much as I like the 270 Weatherby Magnum, personally, I've never owned one. I've never even shot one because I hardly ever knew anybody with them. And then the other aspect was most of the rifles when I was a kid, if you could afford a 270 Weatherby mag, you're talking a Weatherby Mark V, like a Mark V Deluxe. So you were talking about a rifle that was going to be in the $2,000 to $3,000 range. That was pretty common. And the thing was, when I was a kid, I didn't have the money for that. And I still don't want to spend that kind of money. If I'm going to spend that kind of money, I'm getting a custom rifle, which is I'm doing. So I never really had an appeal personally, as much as I liked the 27s, to go for specifically the 270 Weatherby mag. It just wasn't there, because the other thing too is, even when I was a kid, so you're talking, at this point in time, you're talking about the mid 90s to late 90s, even into the early 2000s, it was not uncommon for 270 Weatherby Magnum ammunition to be $100 a box or more. And that was then. You're talking over 20 years ago, 25 to 30 years ago, and it still was that much. So it really wasn't an available source if you didn't have the money for it. Not to mention, they just kicked like a freaking mule from anyone I've ever talked to. They do have a lot of recoil. But the 270 WSM, on the other hand, it wasn't the most popular, but at the same time, it wasn't unpopular. The ammunition selection was better. The rifle selection was better. And instead of spending, if you bought your average box of ammunition, and even now you can find 270 WSM between $45 and $60 a box. It's not going to be anything fancy, but you can still find the ammunition. Even now, you can get a Savage rifle, a Tikka, a Browning, a Winchester as more of your entry-level rifles, and be able to do that. Yeah, you can get some more expensive rifles that have those options, such as, like a Christian or a Fierce, which, with all due respect and no respect at all, you'd never get me to own one. They're too inconsistent in their quality control. When they shoot phenomenal. But when they go wrong, they go sour. They have no in between. I've seen a lot of used Christensen's and Fierce rifles traded in for rifles like the Weatherby 307, the Seekins, or Proof Research. Those other ones I just listed have better reputations. So besides that, even now, after all these years, you still have a better selection of the 270 WSM than you do when it comes to 270 Weatherby Magnum. And that includes your options of aftermarket brass. So if you're going to build one of these, you should really consider your overall aspects, not just your performance, but your costs, your availability, and what you can build. 270 WSM is also a short magnum. So if you're conscious of trying to build it in a more lightweight rifle, then this would definitely be your advantage. So if you're trying to be as conscious of having as a more compact rifle while still having a fairly long barrel, like 24 inches, you'd be better off with the WSM than you would be with the Weatherby mag. And again, that's not disrespecting the performance of the Weatherby mag. Because as you see, your grain, how much you're actually loading this, is about the same cost as far as powder. Because you're talking about a difference of 1 grain of powder. And mind you, that's using the N560. There's different powders, so you're going to get different burn rates and different things like that. But then in the nice part between them both, if you already have the 270 Weatherby mag, is because of the twist rate being a 1 in 10, same thing with the 270 WSM, you can load any standard 270 bullet in it, and it just will take it, and they'll do fine with them. So this was a really close one. I wasn't expecting. I kind of figured that the 270 Weatherby mag would have had the advantage. By technicality, oddly enough, the 270 WSM is slightly flatter. Is 3 inches at 800 yards enough to really worry about? No. But if you're focusing strictly on technicalities, then the 270 WSM is surprisingly a little bit flatter. So this was a really cool one. I would call this a tie personally. Tell me which one you would take and why. Comment, share, subscribe, like. All these things help me to be able to keep this going and help the algorithm get this out to more people. So I appreciate you viewing, following, giving support. I'm trying to make this, again, as educational, fun, a learning thing, not just in terms of data, but also in like the journey of developing new rifle cartridges and the journey of developing new rifling for barrels and different things like that, because I'm approaching this as more of an engineering side of it. So that's my take. That's my perspective on life. And as far as I know, no one else is doing this. So I'm trying to have some fun with this. Have fun along with me. Again, if you have questions, ask them. I'll answer them as best as I can. But have fun, be safe, and just really make sure you're doing the right things, and don't let anybody try to discourage you and turn you into something that you're not. So there's enough of negativity in the world. We don't need any negativity here. So appreciate you following, and we'll talk to you again.